Didn't think could get worse for Harbaugh and Michigan, but here we are. Uh, Michigan fell to 2-4 with a 27-17 loss to Penn State. This comes after a week where they needed 3 overtimes to beat Rutgers. Things are only going from bad to worse. Penn State was 0-5 coming in. They hadn't won a game since their bowl game last year. Obviously, this is a down year for Penn State, but Penn State was 0-5. I mean, Jim Harbaugh just can't lose that game. Michigan allowed over 5 yards a carry. Penn State had 50 attempts for 254 yards, so just over 5 yards a carry. Kevon Lee had 22 attempts for 134 yards, and QB Sean Clifford had 9 attempts for 73 yards. That's probably the big reason they lost, because the D didn't give up a whole lot, passing-wise. Sean Clifford went 17-28 for 163 yards and no touchdowns. One receiver accounted for 93 of the 163 yards, so they didn't get torched. Running the ball was the big issue. Turnovers were only 1-0 in favor of Penn State, so that wasn't a big issue either. I mean, it just seems like like I said in my previous video, all the fire's gone. The players don't want to play for Jim Harbaugh anymore. It's only going from bad to worse. I mean, even if you look at the stats, like stats-wise, Hassan Haskins, if you look at the stats, 17 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. That seems like a really good game, but if you dive into that, if you look into that, 59 of those 101 came on 1 carry, where he broke out and had a long run. If you look at that, the otherwise outside of that 59-yard carry, he had 42 yards on 16 carries. That's 2.6 a carry. I mean, the running woes continued apart from that one long run. It's only getting worse. You can't justify losing to an 0-5 Penn State team. I mean, you just can't. Kate McNamara didn't put up great stats, 12-25 for 91 yards, no touchdowns. It's just kind of hard to believe at this point. I mean, last year it was the defense that was the issue. This year it's both sides. I mean, they're not getting anything done on either side of the ball. And with the way this season's shaped up, I gotta wonder what's next for Jim Harbaugh. I don't see, like I've said in my previous videos, I don't see Michigan keeping him. At this point, there's no way they keep him. He either gets forced out or they buy out his contract or something. But there is no way Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of Michigan next year. There just isn't. You're talking in a best case scenario this year with the remaining games. You have Maryland and Ohio State. Best case scenario is you go 4-4. That's the best case scenario. And that, I don't even think that's possible. I mean, like, Ohio State is just looking at the teams. Ohio State recruits better. They develop their players. That game is going to be a blowout at this rate. There's no way Michigan holds tight in that game. After watching them this past weekend, there is absolutely no way they hold tight against Ohio State. As an Ohio State fan, I want obviously I want to beat Michigan. I want to. I want to beat Michigan always, but this rivalry isn't even a rivalry at this point. It just isn't. It's a beatdown. I would love for this to be a competitive game like it was in 2016, I want to say, the 30-27 game. But it's only going backwards at this point. Michigan's not getting any better. They're only getting worse. If you told any Michigan fan, and any Michigan fan can comment on this and tell me if this is true, if you were to tell any Michigan fan that in year 6 of the Jim Harbaugh era that you would be 2-4 going into the last 2 games of the season. Granted, this is a shortened season, so 2-4 normally means you have 6 games left, but in this season it means you have 2 games left. If you told any fan that 2-4 was what you were going to be through 6 games in year 6 of Jim Harbaugh's tenure at Michigan, they would have said you were crazy. And I would have said you were crazy. Because everybody thought he was the savior of Michigan football. And here we are in year 6, and he's 2-4. I think Harbaugh's got to go. Don Brown's got to go. Josh Gaddis has got to go. I think they need to clean house and start a new brand, because what Harbaugh has going is not working. I just don't think they're going to fix this. It's obvious they're not going to fix it, because they just lost to an 0-5 Penn State team. They need to clean house, find somebody new, re-energize the players, because it's obvious they're not energized. They're not under Harbaugh. They know the writing's on the wall. They know he's not going to bring them to the top at this point. It's only going further downhill, and like I said, I think they're lucky if they don't go 2-6. They're 2-4. I think they're lucky if they don't go 2-6. Harbaugh's got to be fired at this point. There's no way you can justify keeping him. Absolutely no way. If you're a Michigan fan, please comment on this video and tell me who you think would be your replacement for Harbaugh. I'd say there's about a 0% chance Harbaugh's coming back. So I want to know some Michigan fans' inputs on who you think you guys should go and get. This road's only getting harder for you guys. It's only getting tougher. I want this rivalry back, but we're not getting it for a long time if Harbaugh stays the coach. So